Well, hi there, pluckers. Ivor Sorefingers again with you with something a little different for a change. This is a channel update. I haven't had an update to my channel for some time, so I thought I'd have a little chat with you all. Obviously, Ivor Sorefingers is the channel name. It's been going for approximately 2 years, just under 2 years, and it currently has approximately 1,700 lessons on it. Covering a vast array of different genres of music, but it is mainly based on the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s music, okay, with a few exceptions obviously, but obviously that's my era of music myself, so that's probably why I've concentrated on it. Okay, so I'm 70 years old, okay, and I've been playing in a gigging semi-pro sort of musician. Started doing that in 1969 and continued playing more or less continuously in semi-pro bands until 2007, where I actually sort of retired, or the brass band I was in broke up and I just didn't bother finding another band or anything. Okay, so basically took retirement from the music business, playing wise, and that's approximately a couple of years later I started this channel up, or started doing lessons. Okay, so the bands I was playing in were mainly covers bands and tribute bands. Okay, so nothing really original. Okay, so I've never written any songs or anything like that. It's always other people's music I've played. Okay, so that's basically where I'm at. As far as the channel goes, it's a free channel. I don't charge for anything that I do. As far as subscribers go, I don't, although obviously more subscribers the better, I don't, as you probably realise, push it. I don't talk about, ring the bell and tick the boxes and all the rest of it. If you want to do that, please do so. But it's not a requirement of you taking part on my lessons to do so, okay? As for donations, if you want to donate, there is a donation link, PayPal, on the home page. If you want to buy me a coffee or donate to my string fund or something, please do so, but again, there is no requirement for you to do that. Okay, it's totally free. Don't try and sell anything. There's no merchandising, and as a result of all this, my lessons are very simple. It's just me, my guitar and my horrible voice, okay, which I do apologise for quite often. I can't sing for toffee, but as part of my lessons, I think it is important that somebody sings to the song so people know where you are in the song, because I could play a song without singing and half the time you wouldn't really know where I was in the song. So I think it's quite important to actually have some vocals with the song. Okay, so that's why I do that, so you just have to put up with my terrible singing. So what else? So equipment wise, right, I get a lot obviously questions about equipment. So this is I've had this guitar, this is a Taylor Big Baby. Okay, it's one of their lower priced guitars, shall we call it, okay, one of their starter models. It's a Taylor Big Baby, and it's like a slightly small dreadnought shape. It's slightly smaller than normal size, okay, solid spruce top and laminate back and sides. And as a lot of people ask me about this, you notice it's got two what appears to be Phillips screws in the neck on the 16th fret here. This guitar, made by Taylor, has a bolt-on neck, and that's literally how the neck is fixed to the body by these two long, very long, substantial Phillips bolts, I would call them, rather than screws, okay? And that's how it's held together, so you can actually remove the neck quite easily if you need to, okay, for any reason. Okay, so that's the guitar. It was made in 2003. I bought it as a used guitar in about 2007, when I gave up playing in the band, because until that point I very rarely played acoustic. I was playing an electric in the bands, and when I retired from the music I decided to switch over to acoustic, and so this was my first proper acoustic purchase, and I've kept with it because I just love this guitar. It's a bit beat up. It's got one or two nicks in it and a few wear marks from the previous owner, who was a pro musician, and it obviously went gigging, and it's got a few telltale marks on it, but it plays brilliantly. It's got a good setup. I would recommend anybody who buys a guitar has a proper setup done by a proper guitar technician, repairer, lutherer, what do you want to call them, and not just somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing. A proper job. Okay, might cost you a bit more, but it's well worth it. You'll probably find that the action a lot better and all that when it's done, and frets levelled or whatever might need doing to it. Okay, so that's my first recommendation, is you have a proper setup. Okay, strings, personally I've used these for a long time. Elixir, Phosphor Bronze, these are custom lights, 11 to 52, and they've got this nano web coating on, which makes the strings last a lot longer, and I would say 3 or 4 times longer at least. Okay, I play this guitar practically every day for an hour or even more, and these strings last me 3 or 4 months, a set of these strings. Okay, easy. Okay, so that's what they are, and that's the sort of gauge I use and everything. Custom lights they're called. Beware, there are a lot of fakes on the market, especially if you buy strings on eBay and places like that. I have tried that, and it's full of fakes. The prices are, because they're not particularly cheap strings, and obviously if you see a price which is half price or 2/3 the price of a shop price, it's very tempting. Well, you stand a good chance of getting a fake pair. Even on Amazon, I've bought a pair. I had a set from Amazon that was fake. Okay, the only things you can tell, the packaging is generally on fake ones these days is very, very good. They do look pretty authentic, but if you look at the strings closely, sometimes they're the wrong colour. They're more coppery or brassy than the genuine ones. And the second thing is, you can tell if you get a small eyeglass, like a jeweller's glass, and look at the strings, especially the wound strings, the thick strings, you can actually, on a proper string, you can actually see the coating under a jeweller's eyeglass. You can actually see a thin coating on the strings. If you look at fake ones, there is no coating generally. They're just metal. Okay, so that's strings done. Okay, pick. I use a Dunlop Tortex yellow pick. There are 0.73 millimeters. Okay, I've used these for years. For me, it's not too stiff and it's not too flimsy, so I find that an ideal sort of compromise I find myself. So that's what I use for that. Capo, you've probably seen that. I use a capo quite often for my lessons. This is a G7th capo. This is it's the latest one, which is called ART Performance G7th capo. Okay, it's got the head. When you clamp it down, it's just one movement. You've got this little lever on the bottom. You lift that up and it springs up, and it just clamps on. You just push it together, back and front, push it together, and then to release it, you press this little black lever at the back here, and it just opens up. So you can put it on the top if you don't want it, and just do that with it, you know, whatever. It's very slim, it's not very bulky, you don't have big levers sticking up or whatever to get in the way with the thumb. Very neat. And this latest version has this special head on it, which adapts to the curvature of your neck, because different necks have a different curvature, but this automatically adapts to it, so you don't get too much pressure anywhere on the neck and pushing them out of tune, etc. So anyway, fully recommend that. Bit expensive again, but well worth it. Lifetime warranty on it as well. Okay, so the company is called G7th.com if you want to look at their products. Okay, most major music shops sell these now, I think. Okay, tuner wise, I use a Patterson strobe tuner. Again, fairly expensive for a tuner, but it has this strobe thing on it. Yeah, so I'll put it on the neck and then I'll see what happens with it. So if I don't know if you can see that, if I point it to the camera, see as I hit the string, I don't know if you can see that. Maybe not. It's got that strobe on it, and you basically tune up until the strobe stops moving. It's very accurate. Okay, I find that excellent, and it's also got different patches for different instruments. You can tune banjos with it, violins, even trumpets and things, I believe. It does all sorts of different instruments as well, and it's got different patches for different sorts of guitar, dobros or whatever. Okay, so very versatile tuner. So what else have we got? Right, recording equipment. Right, all I do is very simple setup. I've got a bridge camera, okay, which is fairly old now, Panasonic FZ200 bridge camera. Okay, just a normal bog standard bridge camera, reasonable quality, and I just set that onto recording as movie mode, and I just use the inbuilt microphone, stereo microphone on the top, and no fancy microphones, nothing. It's just the camera, and I just record everything raw. There's no processing. The only thing I do as far as that is, obviously when it's recorded the file is way too big for sensible YouTube uploading to. So it's like, it's like a 15-minute video could be several gigabytes in size, so I crunch it with a program called Handbrake, which probably a lot of you have heard, and it basically reduces the file by about 90%. So a 1 gigabyte file probably ends up at something like it'll end up about a tenth. So I'd say it'll be 10 meg instead of 100, sort of thing, or whatever, whatever file size you start with, you end up with about a tenth of the original size. So it makes a big difference to your upload time, and the quality is basically the same as the original. You wouldn't really tell the difference. Okay, so that's what I do on the video. So no post-processing, I don't mess around with anything on it. All the sound is exactly what I do, is what you hear. Okay, so that's it really. The only thing on here is I've been asked about bridge pins. Okay, you can see these bridge pins. I use brass, solid brass. Okay, I've been using those for a couple of years. Okay, I've tried all sorts, plastic, obviously it came with plastic. I've tried wood ones, I've tried bone ones, and I've tried these brass ones, and I keep coming back to the brass. For my personal guitar and my hearing, I think they do make the strings sound brighter, and to my taste, definitely an improvement on anything else I've tried so far. Okay, so well worth. They're not really expensive, so well worth a try if you want to experiment with bridge pins. They're not that expensive. I think these were about £4 or £5 in UK. Okay, so if you don't like them, it's not a huge loss. Okay, so nothing else on the guitar, I don't think. No, nothing else to tell you about the guitar. What else have I got to tell you about? I've told you, I'm sorry, I'm in the UK. I haven't told you that, have I? I'm basically on the south coast in the UK, in just above Portsmouth, between Portsmouth and Southampton on the south coast. That's where I'm based, okay? So that's it. So hopefully what I've told you is a good explanation of what's going on. Obviously, I put videos up fairly regularly, sometimes nearly every day, some weeks, okay? And I try, let's say, I don't take requests anymore, okay? I'm sorry, it just got crazy and I stopped doing it about a year ago. I just got inundated. I can't cope with the number of requests were coming in. It put me under a lot of pressure, so I decided to stop taking requests. I'm very sorry. I know a lot of people like strumming patterns, but I don't do strumming patterns unless it's something very, very simple and I think it needs explaining. I might do the odd one, I might explain what I'm doing, but generally speaking I don't do strumming patterns. I don't believe in strumming patterns, to be honest with you. Strumming patterns are, to me, strumming patterns, no one plays the same way exactly twice. I don't, I know I don't. I might show it you one way one day and play it slightly different the next. I just basically listen to the rhythm of the track and try and get my strumming hand to replicate whatever the rhythm is of the song. And it's automatic. I don't even consciously know what I'm doing with my strumming hand. It just plays what I think the rhythm is, okay? And I think, you know, like I say, I'm not really, I've never, when I learned to play guitar and I'm mainly self-taught, I never had strumming, never did strumming patterns. Obviously we didn't have YouTube when I was starting and all that. So you just had to do a lot of it yourself, and I've just automatically learned to strum through playing myself, and so that's the way I would recommend you do it, because you'll never play the same thing exactly the same way twice anyway, and I don't think anybody does, okay? So so that's the strumming patterns, and also I don't generally do chord sheets, and that's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of finger picking lessons. I'm not particularly good on finger picking. I've not done a huge amount of it myself, but I've done a few songs on finger picking. There are sort of tab sheets for those available, which you can download on the lesson. But there's only a few of those, okay. And again, I don't generally do finger picking these days because it's just so involved. You know, because it takes ages to do the sheets for finger picking, and so I just don't do finger picking really very, very often. And as far as chords go, then you know, people say you've got a chord sheet, and I don't do chord sheets either, because the chords are all on the lesson. All you need to do is download the words and write the chords against the words. That's what I do. Okay, so that's why I don't do chord sheets and strumming patterns. Okay, so again, like I said, these lessons are very basics. Just be the guitar, no fancy graphics, on-screen graphics. I don't do anything like that. It's very, very simple, basic, hopefully helpful, and to some degree enjoyable. Because I do make the odd boo-boo and they stay in generally. I don't cut anything out, generally speaking. So there we are, boys and girls. So hopefully that brings you up to date and who I am, and hopefully there's more lessons to come. But there's plenty for you to get on with if I don't do anything for a few days. There's 1,700 lessons on there from all sorts of people. Okay, acts and 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even some 50s and 2000s. Okay, so that's it. I'll sort of waffle on now. So I'll thanks very much for all you people that have subscribed, and even if you don't subscribe and you're a regular, thank you very much for your comments. I do appreciate comments. Obviously, I do try and make a point of trying to answer everybody And if you've got any questions, I do try and answer the question. If you've got a specific question about anything, I will try my best to answer if I can. My music knowledge is, technically the music, the sort of the technical side and the theory side of music is not really my forte, because I'm mainly self-taught. So I don't know much about different scales and the correct fingering and all this sort of stuff. I just play it, and that's the whole thing about ethos of my channel, is to try and improve people's playing through playing songs that they want to learn to play. Okay, that's my whole thing. Okay, I'm not trying to teach you theory or correct fingering or anything like that. I'm just trying to teach people to learn to play a song that they always wanted to play or like, and hopefully that in its way will improve your playing. Okay, thanks very much for listening to my waffle, and I'll see you in the next lessons. Bye for now.